ChatGPT, I need some art. You're gonna make some art for me. I need a picture of a squid fighting a giraffe. The squid is winning with its tentacles around the giraffe's big, long, stupid giraffe neck. I want it with forced perspective with the squid in the foreground and the giraffe in the background. Okay, let's see what art we're making. So I want to spend today looking at this art and maybe making my own art and trying to talk while I'm drawing about art and the philosophy of AI art. Is it art? Okay, that's not the worst picture I've ever seen. You know, it's not bad, not bad. We've got a squid, we've got a giraffe, there are some birds in the background. Whatever this is, it looks like maybe this squid has some portal powers where his tentacles are just kind of coming out of holes in the universe. And also, you know, a little unknown fact, squids actually live in the ocean, not giraffes. We squids, we keep those giraffes out of the ocean. So I guess maybe in this picture, the giraffe is invading the ocean and the squid has to stop it. All right, so I think it's not a terrible picture, but maybe we can do better. All right, so right now I'm on the GIMP, and I am just going to make a couple layers. I'm using a tablet, by the way. My dad was a computer engineer, and so he occasionally just came back with interesting computer stuff. Also, I think it's going to be really hard for me to talk while I'm drawing, but that's a challenge. That's a challenge, you know? I mean, I've played video games while I'm talking, so I'll bet I can do it. I'll bet I can do it. Let's find out if I can do it. Gotta have my Michael Jackson glove here. All right, so I have a list of stuff I want to talk about. Maybe I'll get through the list. I think I can get through the list. I have my YouTube channel, mostly I think because I'm the kind of person who's always talking to themselves. YouTube is just giving me a chance to talk to myself in a camera and then put it online, and there are some people who apparently enjoy listening to me talk to myself. So in this tablet, this is so cool. This is touch sensitive, so if I push really lightly, then it's transparent, it's very thin line. But if I press really hard, oh, look at that. It's dark, it's a thicker line. So let's just keep going. I happen to be in a position to talk about AI. I'm getting a PhD in AI, basically. And so I do like AI. You know, I'm getting a PhD in it. I think it's really cool. I don't think we're going to get Terminator 2 anytime soon. But okay, so this squid is going to be over here. Yeah, the squid's over here. This is hard. It's already hard. You know, I'm trying to talk while I'm drawing, and it's hard. But I always say when I talk about artificial intelligence, I think people are skeptical of it or worried about it. And yeah, you should be. But I like to say that AI right now is not causing new problems. The problems with AI are the same problems all technology has created. New technologies always introduce problems. Is that what a giraffe looks like? That's vaguely what a giraffe looks like. I'm good at drawing squids because I am a squid. I'm not very good at drawing giraffes because I don't like seeing them. Ugh. Like they have like the stupid, they're stupid horns. Giraffes have horns. I guess that's because they work for Satan. You know, So anyway, AI doesn't make new problems. The problems AI is having is the same kind of problems that you always get with technology. It always kills jobs. It always creates pollution or requires a lot of resources. So I think AI isn't causing any new problems. It's just the same kind of problems that technology always creates, and it's doing it faster and more extremely than any technology before it. Oh, I like that already. Oh, you've got some forced perspective where this giraffe, this stupid giraffe, is having his neck bring him from the background to the foreground. You'll notice ChatGPT didn't do that. You know, when I asked for a picture with forced perspective, it didn't even bother. It didn't even try. Yeah, that'll do it. Ooh, I like this already. This is already fun. Modern AI, generative AI, it's not just causing problems, taking jobs and pollution and all that. It is also doing what new technology always does, and I think this is a cool problem, a good problem. It's making us think. It's forcing us to think. It forces us to reconsider and ask questions like, what is art? Was it art when I asked ChatGPT to make me some art? I mean, I asked for art, right? Is it art? Did I make the art? Did the AI make the art? Was it made by the people who made the AI? These are all interesting questions. I want to compare this to Japanese wood carved paintings. Is that what you call them? Wood carved paintings? Whatever. You've almost certainly seen pictures made with this, where, for example, the Great Wave, I believe it's called the Great Wave, or maybe the Big Wave. A great one is probably a big one. Yeah, go get him. Go get him, Squidling. But the point of that is that it's you carve it out of one piece of wood, and another piece of wood, and another couple pieces of wood, and eventually you have a piece of wood for each color you're going to use. And when you have all that wood for all those colors, then suddenly you have something where you can print. It's like a printer for art. So is that art? I'm not a historian kind of guy, but I'm guessing, just my guess, is that it was a controversial thing to have happen. I'll bet people said it wasn't art, or I'll bet people say it was stealing the job of artists. And I'm not going to take a side on that. I just think it's interesting. Okay, so this is going to go like that. Shiva over there, he's being the co-host as per usual. So I'm wondering how much of the problem we're having with that has already been faced with lots of different problems in art history. But I will also say, the Great Wave, that's an amazing art piece. That's incredible. Modern AI, it ain't no great wave. It ain't no great wave. I think it's probably going to get better. Technology generally increases in power over time, not decrease. But it's a lot of it is just terrible. I like it. I mean, I like it just fine. But if you look at that art we made, it's such a generic giraffe. It's such a generic squid. And it didn't use forced perspective. Maybe in the future there's going to be AI art generators which can do those things, where it's not just making like some cardboard cutout stock image of a squid and a stock image of a giraffe. Like, it can actually approach it with different intentions. So maybe eventually that'll have that, but right now I don't think we quite have the best going for us. I think he needs one more wrap around his big, long, stupid giraffe neck. Yeah, that ought to do it. That ought to do it. Okay. Where was I? Where was I? This is hard. Talking while you're drawing, it's hard. I think if you look at AI-generated video, some of it is really good. Some of it is, like, scary good. But also some of it, it's so disappointing. It's like, someone might say, oh, look at this trailer. I made a trailer. What if Wes Anderson did Star Wars? And they can show you a little video of that. And that's cool. That's cool and all. But usually those videos are just like people standing. Just like... And maybe the camera is like zooming in or panning just a little bit, but it just doesn't look very interesting. Like, if someone made a trailer for a movie which was like that, I wouldn't want to watch that movie. That sounds like a really boring movie. I want a movie where people fight. I want a movie where people dance. If you release a trailer and it's just people like standing still, then who would watch that? Who would want to watch that movie? So I think, and there are other videos that AI can generate. Maybe maybe that's just one AI video generator that I'm not a fan of. But overall, AI art is not doing its best, not yet. But sometimes people do take it pretty seriously, even if the art they are generating isn't for the best. For example, there is a guy, if you're just watching this video because you're interested in AI art, you probably know the guy. I don't remember his name, and I don't particularly care. I'm just going to call him the Supergirl Guy, because among other things, he's most famous for drawing a picture of Supergirl and making a very long video about why it's such a great picture and why he's such a great artist. And I think there are parts of what he's saying that I can agree with, or at least to a certain extent I can agree with. Oh, look at that epic squid. Ooh, it's happening. But I think there are also things that I don't really agree with. One thing I do agree with, maybe partially-ish agree with, he's talking about making a prompt, and the AI sort of generates stuff from his prompt. And I think he says that's making the prompt is its own art form. And I mean, come on, man. That's a stretch.
Knowing how to work the settings to get the results you want, it is literally a skill that you develop using this new tool. A lot more time, work, effort, and skill needed than just a click.
People complain. It's like you're using a slot machine over and over again until you get something you like. But, as I say that, I didn't like that line I made. I want a line. I want a particular line. I'm not exactly sure what it'll look like, and I'm not sure exactly how to do it, but I can just keep trying it. So there are some things that people dislike about AI art, which are just things we might compare to a certain extent, things that we do in regular art. Like if I want to make a circle, I didn't like that one. That one's a little better. Oh, I like that one. So this stuff happens. There are things that AI artists do which could, to some extent, be considered art. Also, he in the video, good lord, I don't care if he's right or wrong. He's a bit of a he's a bit of a character. He says because he is an expert artist, an expert in anatomy, then he can find problems and correct them and then ask the AI to do better.
But there is a problem with the image, and once again, I wonder if you can notice it. Only someone who is familiar with anatomical proportions would be able to notice this. Her shoulders are far too wide to the rest of her frame. It makes her look way too bulky.
I'm going to start with the squid. I'm just going to pick random colors. I can just change it later. My art style, and I don't want to be one of those people who make terrible art and then say, it's just my style. I think, hey, if it's terrible art, I'm going to admit that. But I think my usual style with art is sort of minimalist with solid colors. That's my style. Minimalist with solid colors, like that. So now I'm not using the opacity here. It's there's no transparency. I'm just drawing a squid. It's going to be a good squid. Look at this. So anyway, Supergirl, her anatomy was not the best. No offense. I mean, look at that giraffe. I'm not even going to look up a source. I'm not even going to look up a picture of giraffes. I mean, I don't want to contribute to Google algorithms promoting giraffes. But anyway, I mentioned them in particular because I watched a debate, like a 3-hour-long video. I'll try to post a link on it. But he and a couple other folks are arguing is it art to make this? Who is making the art if you use AI generation? And he had a couple points, and another guy had a couple points, and I think there are some things that each of them said that I agree with or disagree with. For one thing, someone said you're stealing the art. You know, you're not making your own art, you're taking someone else's art. And I totally understand that, because I have made generative adversarial networks. I've made programs which can absolutely just make art based on things that I contribute. None of them are nearly as good as ChatGPT and such things, but it works, you know? Is that stealing it? I think that's a matter of debate, but I will say, if I give it a picture of the Mona Lisa and no other pictures, if the critic only has one piece of art to compare to the generator's art, then the generator is going to start making the Mona Lisa. And it's probably going to get really darn accurate in copying the Mona Lisa exactly. I'm not going to waste time like making that generative adversarial network, but you could do it. And if you did it and then said, look at this art I made the Mona Lisa, I don't know. I think I would be skeptical of that. Is that art? I don't know. Is it your art? I don't know. But I will say, as the kind of pretentious little squid that I am, if I did that, I would absolutely 100% call it art and my art, and not because the Mona Lisa is my art and not because I made the generative adversarial network, but because me making a copy of the Mona Lisa using this generative adversarial network and then claiming that it's my art, that would be controversial. And the controversy, and the intention to cause controversy, now that is art. I think that's art. So the fact that I was stealing it and then calling it my own, I don't have to literally mean that it's my own. I just have to say it's mine. I made that. And people would be arguing and yelling at people. I think that's exactly what I want in my art. I want people to butt heads with each other regarding art. That's the good stuff. That's the good art. The Supergirl guy said, if you take a picture of the Mona Lisa, that is art, and it is your art.
If I take a photo of the Mona Lisa and I claim to own the Mona Lisa, is that what you're saying?
No, claim to own the photo.
No, the photo.
I'm going to sell a photo of the Mona Lisa and say, this is my photo, I own it.
Your photo, yeah.
I'm not sure how much I agree with that or not. I mean, if you take a selfie in front of the Mona Lisa, is that art and is it your art? Well, I think when I look at art, something important in art is having intention. The Mona Lisa, I'm not a historian, whatever, but I'm figuring when Leonardo DiCaprio was making the Mona Lisa, I'm sure he had some kind of intention. He was trying to make it look good. Or, I don't know, whatever. But if you're taking a selfie, remember duck faces? So again, I think in that sort of situation, either I would say it's not very well-inspired art. it's not art with a really interesting intention. Or if they were doing it specifically to make people argue about it, there you go. That's the good stuff. So if Supergirl Guy says, yes, in fact, I definitely, absolutely mean it when I say taking a selfie with the Mona Lisa is definitely art and it's your art. Well, I mean, you know me, I want to test that. I want to test how much he believes what he's saying. I want to take... I'm not actually going to do this. I just think it would be a really interesting thing to do just to see what they say about it. Can I take his Supergirl and just write my name on it? Like, I can sign it? Like, I can download the picture that he made, and I can sign it. I can sign my name in it. And then maybe I can send it to him on Twitter and say, look at this picture I made. This is my art. So I don't know. It's big. The AI art is making us think about things. It's making us think. And for a guy who has a YouTube channel called Thinkster, thinking's my thing, So regarding art theft, stealing art. There's a famous artist named Andy Warhol, and he made a lot of pictures, I believe, of soup cans. So he didn't invent the soup can, but he took the soup can and he made a lot of art with it. Among other things, he did it, I think, famously with a picture of Marilyn Monroe. So he didn't invent Marilyn Monroe. Maybe I should look that up. Did Andy Warhol invent Marilyn Monroe? It looks like he didn't. So I'm guessing, I'm not, like I keep saying, I'm not a big historian about this stuff, but I'm sure that was relatively controversial. Like, is it art when you make stuff like that? Just taking soup cans and making something interesting or weird out of them. And I think nowadays we consider that art, but I think it really had to earn that. It really had to earn that. I think it was a relatively controversial thing. You know, one of the people in the debate, I think there are a lot of things he said that I totally agree with, but this one I did not agree with it at all. There's a famous example in philosophy. If you take a philosophy class, you might run into this, where there's a guy who just brings in a urinal and he has it signed and he says, "This is my art." Is that art? It's just a urinal, and he just brought in a urinal, he put his name on it. And as I've been saying, yeah, I'd say that's art, especially because he got people arguing about it. The fact that he got people arguing about it suggests to me that it's doing what it was intended to do. I think the person who did that obviously did it to get people angry and get people arguing. What is art? Because if something can make you ask that, I'd say it's art. You know? But this particular person in the debate mentioned something besides that one. He mentioned someone taping a banana onto the wall, and he said something that I think demonstrates that I completely disagree with him about what art is. He said, "That's not art, it's a joke."
I'm saying the banana taped to a wall is not really art, it's a joke. It's a meme.
And personally, that really caught me off guard, because I think making jokes, making good jokes, being a good comedian, that is art. You need to have incredible intent, and you need to be able to carry things out in order to be a good comedian and make jokes. And then you also have to do it on stage if you're doing it live. So yeah, I think the banana on the wall, the fact that it made this guy angry, means that it was a successful joke. Maybe we'll call it a prank. And, you know, not every prank is high art. And I'm not saying the banana on the wall is high art. But it's interesting, you know? And if it's interesting, well, that's definitely a point in its favor of it being art. That same person, they were quite heated. He was quite a heated fella. And at one point, he said that AI art is like IKEA furniture.
Industrialized mass production is always a Faustian bargain.
Is IKEA furniture like better than something hand carved?
And that's a really interesting comparison. Like what does it mean to have AI art be anything like IKEA furniture? Well, IKEA furniture, when you put it together, you don't make it yourself. I mean, you assemble it based on instructions, but you didn't really have any intention when you didn't make the instructions, you didn't make the rest of it. But I would say that, you know, the IKEA furniture is absolutely art. It's art by the people who made it, not the person who's constructing it. And I think it reminds me of something people say a lot about, what's his face? It's hard doing this while I'm talking. Stephen King. I think it's even Stephen King who says the writing he does is not incredibly high quality writing. The writing he does is the cheeseburger of writing. And I don't disagree with him, but making a cheeseburger that, I mean, how do you, like McDonald's makes cheeseburgers and they're like a multi-billion-dollar company. So I think they put some intention behind their I'll have to change the sizes on that. But so far, I think the forced perspective looks pretty good. What the heck was I talking about? Where was I? Is McDonald's hamburgers art? I'm definitely not going to say it's like a 5-star Michelin thing. But, I mean, I've also heard, for example, the Marvel movies are sometimes called something like a roller coaster in terms of cinema. It's not Citizen Kane. It's just made to bring you on a journey, to give you the emotional things that you get out of a movie. And so I don't think that's such an insult. It is. The Marvel movies, they are built to entertain. And they're not necessarily trying to do that in like a high-class way. But they are entertaining. It's been a long time since I've seen them. Are there any good ones nowadays? So all of that, relating it to AI art, how does any of that relate to AI art? How is AI art like IKEA furniture? I guess maybe it's kind of like IKEA furniture, which you can slightly customize if you could go to the IKEA website and say, I need a table which is this color. Or maybe you could say, take this table, but actually change it in this way. So maybe, yeah, maybe it is like IKEA furniture. When I put in that description to ChatGPT and I got a squid out of it and a giraffe out of it, is that anything like IKEA furniture? Yeah, I think so. You know, we could compare it there. It was a realistic picture of a realistic scene of a squid fighting a giraffe. You know how we squids are. But at the same time, I asked for something which is a little bit higher caliber, and it didn't even try. And I think that means a lot. So maybe it is sort of IKEA furniture, where I asked for something a bit bigger than they were able to deliver, and they didn't bother. They didn't bother delivering on something that they didn't think they could do. Man, I hope that makes sense. It's hard to talk while you're drawing. I'm realizing this. You know, I've made videos where I'm talking while I'm playing Team Fortress 2. That's already hard. I'm supposed to be making art. I'm supposed to be making art right now. Yeah, gotta have this tentacle just consuming, you know, wrapping around this stupid giraffe horn. I hope you understand, folks in the audience. If you're a giraffe, the fact that you're watching this video, you're one of the good giraffes. But also, there was a particular video someone made. Maybe it was the heated guy. No, I don't think it was the guy who was so heated. But this person works for commissions. And that's naturally someone who's going to lose their jobs to AI and such. But his argument against AI being good for commissions was a little strange to me, and it didn't quite line up with the points he was trying to make. I think he might have been doing a disservice to his to something which I don't disagree with.
And today, you're going to see me put my art up against 3 really popular AI art programs, and the client wanted me to have this particular character right here on a pirate ship. So I illustrated them on a burning pirate ship.
He discussed that AIs weren't very good at making commissions, and he proved it by using AI to make not very good pictures.
So for my first example, I went to Starry AI. I went ahead and I searched up burning ship, and this took me no effort at all to do the background. Oh, wait a minute. Where's my character? Wait, you don't see him? He was right there. Let me show you. Zoom.
But he wasn't really interested in making good art. He was making art. It's definitely art, because, I mean, it got a reaction out of me. That's art.
Whoa, look at that right there. Yep, there he is. He's just stomping around here. Boom, 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 boom. Totally worthless as soon as I zoom into it. AI is not capable of doing anything for me whatsoever.
It seemed like he was specifically trying to make bad art. And he got bad art out of it.
So even though I specified that I needed it inside of a wizard's tower, it gave me the exterior of a wizard's tower. Where's the character? Oh, you don't see him? Here, let me give you the heads up. Vroom. There he is. Look at him. He's just flying all around this here wizard's tower. He's going crazy, right? Again, as I zoom into this image is total crap.
So yeah, I don't know, AI art being art. That's an interesting question. One of the ways that I'm sort of thinking about my own idea of art. I'm not necessarily a member of this religion, but it's an interesting religion. It's a Japanese new religion. I believe in Japan, things are considered a new religion if they were made after some specific date. And so this, oh, I like this tentacle. Oh, this is turning out a lot better than I was expecting. Where the heck was I? Japanese new religion called Church of Perfect Liberty. Now that's a pretty cool name. You know, I'm an American. You know, perfect liberty, yeah. And I believe, as I understand it, a core element of the platform of their religion is that you're supposed to make everything art. Life is art. You're supposed to make everything in your life art, meaning that you're supposed to put intention into everything. You got to put yourself in there. You're supposed to put your soul into that. And if the best art you can make is a selfie with a duck face in front of the Mona Lisa, then I think you have a boring soul. I can see your aura, and it's ugly. I need to make this squid a bit transparent so I can actually work on this giraffe, unfortunately. Let's see. If you can put yourself into something, I might say that's art. You're putting yourself into it. You're putting yourself into it. Putting yourself into it makes it art. You know, that actually reminds me, one of the things I wanted to talk about, it's not on the list, but I want to talk about it. As far as I'm concerned, science is art. Science is art. Being a scientist requires you to be an artist. Because science isn't just about memorizing things. Science isn't about reading the textbook and understanding the textbook. Science is about having an understanding of the universe, of reality, and proving it. In science, you might say, I think this is how the reality works. And you can show people with repeatable experiments. Coming up with a repeatable experiment to show something in your worldview being correct, absolutely I'd call that art. If someone memorizes a science textbook and says, I'm a scientist because I memorized this stuff, that would just be not even putting yourself into it. Yeah, I'm willing to say that. I'm willing to say that. So, to toot my own horn, you know me, I like tootin'. I like self-tootin'. When I wrote my paper about applying the free energy principle to reinforcement learning, I think that paper is art. I think what I did with those robots is art. I had an idea about how sentient beings work, and I made it. I show people. I made living things, not necessarily living things, but I made things that you can watch them work and demonstrate that something I thought about the world works well enough that you can use it. And I'd say that's art, to be as incredibly pretentious as I can possibly be, because you know me. When I was writing that paper and working on making art, out of that paper, I would occasionally go to my professor. And I think in the beginning, he said, I don't understand what you're doing here. Explain this to me. What are you doing with this? And I would explain one of my intentions and how I thought it would work. And he said, Ted, I'm not sure what you're talking about, but I don't think it's going to work. But I did it. I just made it work. And so I would start showing that it worked, and I would try putting so much effort into explain why it's working and what it is, that eventually he would say, oh, that's how it works. That's art. That's art. I swear, that's art. I'll occasionally say something to my professor, and my professor will say, Ted, I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no clue what you're talking about. I don't know what you're saying, and I don't know how you could possibly make it work. But Ted, you've done this before. Make it happen. And I think science is art. I think taking something from your brain about your idea about how the universe works and making it work and showing people this works, that works. I think it's art. It's science and it's art. So AI, generating AI, making AI, that's art. It makes us question things. It makes us wonder what it means to be. Let's see. What else am I talking about? Okay, well, perfect. If I'm asking what it means to be, you know how I am here at Thinkster. I always got to bring up Buddhism. I think they don't mention art in this sutra, but they might as well have. They might as well talk about art. They talk about everything. They use the same two slogans, really, for basically everything. It's the Lankavatara Sutra. The Lankavatara is sort of the master class on sunyata. Sunyata, the idea that everything has sunya. The Buddhist notion, sunyata, says that everything has sunya. And what is sunya? Well, that's the tricky part. It's often translated as emptiness, but I don't like that. It's got sort of a negative connotation. But another translation is openness, and that I like. Being sunya sort of means that you're open to interpretation. But I think the best translation I've heard of it is boundlessness. Boundlessness. Everything is boundless. There are no bounds. When you think there's a bound, you're wrong. There are no bounds. even sunyata is sunya. Sunyata is sunya. And what does that mean? Well, I think in the 101 classes, before the Lankavatara, the Buddha would describe things as having a beginning and a middle and an end. He says, look, this is how everything works, isn't it? Everything has a beginning, everything has a middle, and everything has an end. Things have causes, and things are causes. Things cause future things. And that's sort of the entry-level understanding of emptiness. Like, yeah, things do require other things. You know, things only exist within a context, within the interconnectedness of all things. You don't have a thing popping out of nowhere. Things have causes. Things don't last forever. Things have requirements. And when their requirements aren't met, then they don't exist anymore. And so that makes sense. That makes more or less sense. But then in the Lankavatara, the Buddha says, no, I'm telling you this because it's not. It's not true. Things don't have beginnings. Things don't have middles. Things don't have ends.
Practitioners dwell in a projectionless realm, free from existence and non-existence, where existence and non-existence merge, and the fruit of Buddhahood grows.
So it's so weird. It's a really interesting sutra. Actually, as a matter of fact, I might as well just try to summarize it. There's some guy, and he comes to the Buddha, and he says, Mr. Buddha, I have 108 questions for you.
My name is Mahamati. I come before the Peerless One with 108 questions.
And the Buddha says, okay, but I have to imagine when this guy comes in and says 108 questions, the Buddha has got to be, and so this guy asks a bunch of questions, and the questions all have different formats. It's 108 unique questions, but they're all things like, what is life? What is death? What is this and what is that?
How does causation work? What is a cause or an effect? Why say they are different, and where do they come from?
After the guy finally asks his 108 questions, the Buddha says, all right, I'll answer your 108 questions. And I swear, the Buddha, this shows that the Buddha was annoyed. He was so annoyed by this guy He said, I'll answer your question about life. I'll answer your question about death. I'll answer your question about this. I'll answer your question about that. And he just goes through the entire list of 108 questions.
Now listen, Mahamati. The questions you have raised, I will answer one by one.
And I got to imagine that the guy at that point was like, he didn't like that I asked all those questions. That was too many questions. You know, he's wasting my time because I wasted his time. And so after he says, okay, I'll answer all those questions, he does answer all the questions. But he answers every single one of them in exactly the same way. What is life? Well, a statement about life is a statement about not life. And a statement about death is a statement about not death.
A statement about birth is about no birth. A statement about permanence is about no permanence.
And you'll notice he doesn't say a statement about life is a statement about death, because that itself would be a statement about life, that not life is death. And that makes enough sense to you and me, I think. You know, of course, you know, not life is death. That's sort of the definition of it. But that's the rub. Why is death not life? Because that's the way we define it. We can come up with any number of definitions. We can come up with any number of things which are life and death. Because ultimately, as the Buddha describes in the Lankavatara, you don't see the deterministic universe that we supposedly live in. All you ever see is the mind. Which means when you see life, you're seeing what you consider to be life. And when you see death, you're seeing what you consider to be death.
Because they are given to such dualistic extremes, they don't understand what is nothing but mind, and nourish instead the projection of realms of their own conception.
And does that mean life and death aren't things? Well, they're definitely things in a lot of worldviews. But does that mean they're real? Does that mean they are beyond interpretation? No. The idea of sunyata is that everything is up to interpretation. And so when you have a big idea like life and death, you gotta remember that they're ideas in your mind. And so if you want to understand reality, you gotta look through that. You gotta figure out how to peek through the things that you consider to be true beyond a doubt. A statement about X is also a statement about not X. And actually, from a formal mathematics, formal logic idea, that makes a lot of sense. In formal logic, if you say A implies B, then you are also saying not B implies not A. Like if you say, if it's raining, then there are clouds. Well, in that case, if there aren't any clouds, it's not raining. And that makes sense. You know, I think that holds up. That holds water. So a statement about, well, he doesn't mention art. I'm pretty sure he doesn't say art in that sutra. But a statement about art is a statement about something which isn't art. If you, in your worldview with which you see reality, in your mind, if art has a particular definition, a definition which can't be ignored and doesn't need to be proven because it's true, if your definition includes that it has to be made by a human, then the AI art isn't human because it wasn't made by a human. Although it kind of depends on what you mean by made by, because the AI itself was made by humans. So it's complicated. Reality is complicated. Reality is complicated, and I think we should remember that. I think it's important to remember that reality is big and complicated. You know, I don't think anyone completely understands everything, which means over time, the idea of what is art and what is not art can only change. Because everything changes over time. You know, we used to have ideas, this is art, this is not art. And now AI is making us think about it again. And I like that. You know, thinking's a big deal. Thinking is a big deal. Okay, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Oh, I really like this. Okay, let's erase part of the tentacles that's behind the giraffe. But the other line, so in the in the Lankavatara, the Buddha's always saying, a statement about this is also a statement about not this. But the other one he keeps saying is, this neither exists, nor does it not exist.
This is true of the existence of all things. They transcend existence and non-existence. It is like the appearance of a tree's reflection in water, which is not a reflection and not a reflection, and which does not resemble a tree and does not resemble a tree.
So applying it to art neither exists, art doesn't exist, but it also doesn't not exist. Which, if I understand correctly, means what is or isn't art is a function of the mind, and you're supposed to be able to look through the mind so that you can see the reality that your mind is covering up. But because all you can see is the mind, then art definitely exists. You can see it all the time. You're seeing it right now, I hope. Oh, look at this art. Look at this art I'm making. So it's interesting. It's an interesting sutra. And also, I think I have run out of topics that I wanted to talk about, which maybe means I was talking too fast, or I don't know. This is fun. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. This is a good one. Did I erase the right part of that? No. Okay, so the tentacle is covering it up on this side, which means that part of the stupid giraffe, stupid devil horn, that part. Yeah. Ooh. This is working. Okay. Yeah. You know, after this, I think I should give this picture to ChatGPT and say, what do you think of this art? You know, what is this art? What's going on? Explain this art, ChatGPT. But okay, gosh, what else do I want to talk about? I mean, I covered all the stuff I want to talk about. Maybe I should just let the video continue without me talking. That's something that's allowed, right? I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. I was pretty sick for the last week or so. It's the worst. I visited Los Angeles for the holidays. Right now I'm in Okinawa, but back in the States I live in Los Angeles, and I brought COVID. I got COVID in the flight, in the 12-hour flight from Okinawa to here. I got COVID, and so I couldn't help. I gave my mom COVID. By the time I tested positive, she already had it, which wasn't great. We spent a decent amount of time together sick like that. But after a while, we were totally fine until I got stung by a bee. What did I do to you? What did I do to you, Mr. Bee? But that bee, it got me right under my eye. Like I didn't even need to look down. I could see the bulge that the bee left underneath my eye. And so that wasn't fun. I felt like an Animal Crossing villager. Like, I've never been stung by a bee there before. I never thought, oh, that's a realistic thing happening to that Animal Crossing villager. I felt like an Animal Crossing villager. That happens. I'm sorry I ever doubted you, Animal Crossing villager. But now I got sick again. And it was right when I was supposed to be going to a convention to share the poster I made about my awesome ducks. I couldn't present the poster about my awesome ducks. I made that poster. You know, that poster was art. That poster was me showing off my art. And reality didn't let me do it. Didn't let me show my stuff. You know, my reality made me keep my art to myself. You know, and that's not what art's for. Art's about shoving it down people's necks and making people see reality from your perspective. That's how art works. Right? I'm pretty sure, you know, yeah, more or less. Okay, so how does that look? How's that? That's good. I like that. I think this one should be slightly bigger and that one should be slightly smaller. Gotta think about this perspective and stuff. Gotta have a big perspective. What else is going on in my life? I've been playing Minecraft. That's fun. If you make something in Minecraft, is that art? Yeah, I think stuff you make in Minecraft could totally be art. Yeah, why not? Why not? Sure. Whatever. Is Minecraft art? Yeah. Yeah. Games can be art. I remember there was some director, some director said they didn't think video games were art because they'd never seen anyone play a video game and cry. Like no one had ever played a video game and cried, they said. But first of all, I've cried playing video games, like in that one part of Super Mario Sunshine where it's like the pachinko game. Good Lord. I fucking bawl during like my 20th attempt at that. So you know, games can make you angry, games can make you sad for yourself.
Yes, just fall. Just oh my god!
But also, there are games where people legitimately have earnest sadness. You know, I think there have been games which did that very intentionally. That they are stories that cause emotions. There's no reason they can't do that just because they're video games.
I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. And he wouldn't. Where did I screw up?
Remember, a statement about video games is also a statement about not video games. If you define video games as things that don't make people cry because you think you're pretty confident that video games can't make people cry, but then a video game does make someone cry, then your definition of video games and art had better change, or else the video game wasn't actually a video game because it did something you said a video game can't do. I hope I'm talking some sense. This is hard. This is hard, Squidlings. This is hard. I don't even have my list anymore. I gotta come up with things to say on the fly like I'm talking to someone. Well, you know, I do say I'm pretty darn good at talking to myself. You know, that's what I started with the video with, right? I'm having a good time. This is nice. This ain't Citizen Kane, but maybe this is the squid giraffe version of Citizen Kane. All right. Yeah. Ooh. I'm into it. I think this is turning out a lot better than I was expecting. He needs some eyes, though. Let me give you some eyes. You know, you are my vision, Mr. Squid here. Or Mrs. Squid. How do you tell the difference between a male squid and a female squid? Actually, never mind. I didn't ask that. Of course I didn't ask that. Obviously I know. It's, Male squids are usually smaller, slimmer, and more brightly colored. Yeah, so there you go. You know, I definitely knew that ahead of time. And definitely did not, record something later and put it over my moving mouth. I mean, that'd just be ridiculous. For a squid not to know how to tell the difference. Oh. Gender. A statement about being male is a statement about not being male. A statement about being a woman is a statement about not being a woman. Gosh, I think I'm gonna get some angry comments in this video. If a couple thousand people watch this video, some people are gonna have angry comments because a statement about one thing is a statement about the lack thereof of one thing. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is working. I'm in a rambly mood. I mean, I'm always in a rambly mood. That's what my YouTube channel is for me to just ramble and make people listen to it. I'm reading a book about the Heart Sutra. And you know, if I'm gonna ramble, it's probably gonna be rambling about Buddhism, because Buddhism's big. It's big, and they make a lot of points that I generally like. A lot of them I really like. And so the Heart Sutra, I've been reading a book about it. It's a very short sutra. It's also called The Perfection of Wisdom in 14 lines, which means it's supposed to be the perfection of wisdom. That's pretty darn cool. I mean, it better be pretty cool if it's the perfection of wisdom. Oh, just adding a little bit more foreshortening now. Yeah. That. Yeah, okay, I think that adds a little perspective. But in that book, the person who's doing research on the Heart Sutra specifically says, it's crazy. Like, it's 14 lines, and yet it says so many weird, crazy things, like, you have no eyes, you have no ears, you have no nose, you have no tongue, you have no skin, and you will never die. And that's wacky. Where are you coming to that conclusion? But if you read a different translation, this guy provides a different translation, which I think is a lot easier to grasp. It's saying that you are free of your eyes. You are free of your ears and your nose and your tongue and your skin. You are free of death. Being free of things means, well, if you are having a really terrible experience in something, the thing that you are going through is sunya, which means, yeah, it can be painful, it can be traumatizing, but part of overcoming that is remembering that what you're seeing is in your mind. And I do not mean to say, oh, it's totally easy, bros, just get over it. I'm just saying the first step of actually getting over something is remembering that these things don't need to be as concrete as you're making them. They never mention this, but gender. You're free of gender. You're free of it. Whatever you consider your gender to be, it's not a limitation. You can't be limited by anything. There are no limits. Raw, fight the power. Gosh, I'm working on a video. I've been working on this video for a while just because it's long. It's a long one. It's about Tengen Toppa, Gurren Lagann, and One Punch Man. Who would win in a fight? Could Saitama, the One Punch Man, one punch? Poof. Could he do that to Super Tengen Toppa, Gurren Lagann? I don't know. I think that's an interesting question. Have an argument about it. Have an argument about it in the comments. Argue about if Saitama could one punch explode the Super Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. Argue. Arguing is art. Oh, these giraffes and their stupid spots. I'm probably offending some giraffes with how I'm drawing these spots. Maybe I'm not drawing these spots well enough for those hoity-toity giraffes. As the Heart Sutra says, I am free of giraffes. I am free of them. The problems that squids and giraffes have, they are in the mind. They are in the mind. Except no, those, fuck them. You fuck giraffes. Are there any squids who have spots? I mean, yes, many squids have spots. I definitely knew that off the top of my head. Oh, Shiva. Where's Shiva? Where's Shiva over there? Oh, you can't see him off on the camera. He ran away. Like yesterday at 1 a.m, I just turned and he was gone. And I panicked. Where's my Shiva? I left, I went all around the apartment. I had no idea where Shiva was. And I was just beating myself up about it. I mean, oh, Shiva. I love that cat. that cat's my life right now. And so yesterday I spent the entire day just sitting outside with some food and some of his litter. Cats can smell their own litter really well, so I just had that, and I just sat there and tutted every once in a while. Shiva-kun. And Shiva just wasn't appearing, and every once in a while I'd walk around tutting, Shiva-kun. I really like this picture. That turned out pretty well. Let me change the colors a bit. Maybe I'll change the colors on the other screen, just because the colors don't necessarily appear right on that screen, but let's just do a background. And remember, the squids come from the ocean, not the giraffes. The giraffes come directly from underneath the earth. Those Satan giraffes. Yeah, he's trying to get in. He's trying to get into the ocean, and this squid ain't having it. Good squid, protecting us from them darn giraffes. Screw 'em. Screw giraffes. Screw 'em. Okay, the colors aren't right. I don't like the colors, but I do like it. Like, overall, I think this turned out, I think I've said it before, it turned out a lot better than I was expecting it to. I was expecting I was just gonna, like, draw something weird while I was talking. And I did. I did make something weird while I was talking, but I think I carried it out. I think I nailed what I was aiming for. Oh, look at him intruding. That giraffe just intruding on my ocean. Alright, I think I'm gonna change some colors off screen and then just put up the final picture there. I like that. I like that. I'm glad that I made it while I was just talking constantly. Yeah. Oh, let's see what ChatGPT says about it. Describe this picture. This image features a stylized, abstract scene of a strong contrast between organic shapes and bold colors. The left side of the image has a large, green, arrow-shaped feature with dark, narrowed eyes, giving it angry or determined expression. The figure appears to be surrounded by thick, green, tentacle-like extensions. It does all that and it still can't say it's a squid? On the right side, there's a long, snake-like creature with a skeletal giraffe-like head. I nailed the head. But snake-like creature, that's just a giraffe. That's just a giraffe, man. It is colored in shades of yellow and brown with spots along its elongated body. The background is divided in two primary colors, a dark blue, maybe water, and a beige section that's land or sky. I don't know if I've ever seen a sky like that, maybe during a sunset. The tentacle-like structure seemed to be reaching toward or entangling the snake-like creature, suggesting a struggle or confrontation. The overall composition has a flat, graphic quality, with bold color blocking and simplified forms, giving it a stylized, cartoonish, or surreal appearance. Okay. That I do like the abstract. The comment that it's abstract, that can win me over, but I think that's pretty obviously a squid, and I think that's pretty obviously a giraffe. And I think it worked. All right, I'll put up the final picture, but make your whole life art, squidlings. Make your whole life art.